In this video, I'm going to talk about how I overcame crippling approach anxiety. And when I say crippling, I'm not exaggerating, because the first time when I was 16 that I tried to go out and pick up girls at the mall, really my goal was just to ask someone for the time. That's all I had to do. And then my mission, my goal had been accomplished. But as I got out of my car and I started walking to the mall, I noticed that I was feeling kind of dizzy. And I thought, this is a little weird. Like, I don't have vertigo or anything, but I feel off balance. Then my breathing started getting rapid for no apparent reason. My heart started palpitating, and I started to get this sense that I was going to pass out. The idea that I would just have to say hi to a girl and ask her for the time was so overwhelming that my body seemed to be falling apart. I got this increasing sense of impending doom, this sense that something terrible was about to happen. And so I ended up going to the hospital and getting myself checked out. I thought maybe I was having a heart attack or a stroke or brain cancer, something like that. And the doctors looked at me. They told me it was an anxiety attack. It was just an anxiety attack. And they gave me Xanax, I think it was. They gave me Xanax to help with my anxiety. So my approach anxiety was so bad that the first time I tried to go out and talk to girls, I literally ended up in the hospital. I didn't just think I was dying. I was certain that I was dying. That was how intense the feeling was. And, I've broken my leg, my femur bone, which is the largest bone in your body before. And the amount of overall discomfort, it wasn't exactly pain, but the level of stress, the level of suffering, whatever you want to call it, from this experience was as bad, if not worse, than breaking my leg. So that's how bad it was for me to even try and ask a girl for the time. I was someone who had crippling social anxiety. I was later diagnosed with panic disorder and social anxiety and agoraphobia, which often go together. And if you don't know, agoraphobia is a fear of being in public places around crowds. So this all made approaching women far more difficult for me than it is for most people. And that's why I think this video is important. If I was able to overcome my anxiety, then there's no reason that anyone watching this can't do the same, because maybe 1 out of 10,000 people watching this had as bad of anxiety as me, but no one had it worse. There's no way that your approach anxiety is worse than mine. And I'm going to talk about how I overcame that approach anxiety, because what worked for me will not only work for you, but it will probably be far easier. And I want to mention that approach anxiety is the number one reason that modern men are struggling to get dates. We are so afraid of rejection, of having a bad status, of social consequences, of the whole culture of toxic masculinity. This whole idea that asking a girl out is like some kind of crime. We're so afraid of that since 2008, the amount of men in America who are going without sex from the ages of 18 to 30 has tripled. It has almost tripled. Think about that. The number one thing that is holding you back is approach anxiety. So what I did is, after that first experience was so terrible, I gave up on approaching women for a long time. And I just decided I needed to be a knowledge wizard of pickup. I decided I needed to know everything. And then once I had the whole puzzle put together in my mind, then it would be easy. Then I wouldn't have any issues. Then I would just be confident and be able to approach girls and be able to get a date, no problem. So I would even do things like, while walking around my neighborhood, I would think about the possible conversations I would have with girls and think about the different things they might say and how I would respond, etc. And I would read countless books like The Art of Seduction, The Mystery Method, those kinds of things. I would watch video courses hours a day. I would listen to hypnosis tapes. I would do everything in the self-improvement kind of world to learn more knowledge, to gain more knowledge, to hoard knowledge until I got to the point where something clicked. Eventually, it would all click. It would all make sense. I would finally be an expert through having accumulated all of this knowledge. But that's not what happened. In fact, I even remember in high school my friends commenting that after I read The Mystery Method and after I started implementing some of the things I learned, I just became weirder. right? I actually alienated myself from my friends because I didn't do the one thing that I needed to be doing, and I was looking for some magic pill. I was looking for an easy way out. That's what I did. So I didn't actually approach any girls. I didn't put myself out there and ask my crush on a date in high school or anything like that. I looked for ways around that by accumulating knowledge, by learning everything. And I did this for years. This is the part of the video that should concern you. It should make you worried because it took me years to get out of that analysis paralysis, that productive procrastination phase. Literal years. And the same could happen to you. So eventually, when I was in college, I decided to give it another shot because even though my first experience going out approaching girls was horrible, I wanted a girlfriend, so I was willing to try anything. Girls weren't coming up to me and asking me out. Actually, it happened once, but she was really unattractive, so, and I was so desperate that I even did end up making out with her, but I couldn't go further because I was like, no, I'm not that desperate. But anyway, that only happened to me once ever, where a girl clearly came on to me. So that wasn't happening, so I decided I would have to try to learn how to cold approach, how to ask girls out. And so I went to my university campus with a friend of mine at the age of 18 and walked around for 2 hours making excuses. She's walking too fast. She's with a friend. She's walking too slow. She looks bitchy. She's not hot enough. She looks too hot. And I just made excuse after excuse after excuse. And after 2 hours, my friend and I, he was unable to approach either. My friend and I decided to go to Circle K and get some Four Locos, which, if you don't know, these are 24-ounce drinks that are 12% alcohol. So that's the equivalent of something like 5 shots of alcohol. And I'm 18 and I weighed 150 pounds or so at the time. So that's a lot. So I chugged this and now I'm pretty much blasted. And I tried again. Right? I tried for another couple hours to approach, hoping that liquid courage would be the thing that fixed my problem. It did not. I was still unable to do a single approach. I wandered around campus and made excuses. My friend managed to do one of a literal, massively obese girl and got her number, so he had more success than me, I guess. But that's what happened, and afterwards we both felt so embarrassed that we didn't talk about it again, and I didn't try again for several years. Right? I went back to thinking of another way. I was hoping I could get a girl in my social circle to get a date with her, or maybe someone I worked with. I would find some other way because cold approach, it was so emotionally difficult. I was so stressed and anxious after that experience that I was looking for any way to avoid having that experience again. And that's the mistake a lot of you watching this make. That's the mistake I made that held me back for years. And so the thing is, it was tough, but the fact that I gave up made it so that I didn't make any progress until I turned 21. So I just watched more videos, learned more theory, and, I did end up, just through sheer luck, dating a couple girls who, honestly, I wasn't even that attracted to. But that was it, right? My options were very scarce. My dating life was pretty crappy, and these girls ended up breaking up with me because I was such a nice guy. I was such a simp, effectively, that they felt repelled. They could sense my scarcity. They could sense that I didn't have any options. And so even when I did manage to finally get laid or to get a girlfriend, it didn't last. It wasn't something sustainable, and it was something that I had to just hope I would get lucky with. So eventually, I started watching RSD, Julian was his name, and compared to all the other pickup content I had seen, this guy seemed very different. I just watched it and I thought, all right, this guy, he gets results. This guy actually gets success. Just the way he carries himself, it's very different from the other guys that I've been watching. And so I got very inspired by his content, and I decided to go out again. And now I was able to go to bars and clubs because I was 21, and I would go out, walk around. I would come up with a mystery method opener in the back of my mind because I was afraid to go direct. So I was going to ask, who lies more, men or women? That was one example, but something like that. And I couldn't do it. I tried for about a month every weekend, and I just couldn't approach until one day. outside a line at one of the bars, I heard two guys talking using the terms I had heard in things like the mystery method. They were using pickup lingo, with also a lot of British lingo that I didn't understand. But anyway, the point is, I heard them talking about pickup. So I asked them if they went to the bar to pick up girls, and they said yeah. And then they invited me to join them. This guy was named Matt, and he was just very charismatic, and he started approaching girls in front of me and having a lot of success. I saw him get number after number after number, and I'd never seen something like this before in my life because I didn't have an older brother to, show me how to pick up girls. I didn't have a friend who was good at this. I didn't have any of that. I had never seen it in action in my life up to this point. I had never seen someone approaching and having success except for the one super obese girl that my friend before picked up. That was it. And I saw him having success. I saw him being the center of attention. I saw everyone seeming to love him. And he was just a very charismatic British guy. I would compare him, now's not the best timing, but the best comparison would be Russell Brand, aside from his whole fiasco that's going on. But he was kind of a similar type of character, right? Very boisterous, very loud, very funny. And eventually he told me to do an approach. He said, all right, your turn. Approach that girl. And look, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified of the idea of doing this first approach. But because I had this extra leverage of it not just being me against myself, but I had someone else pushing me to take action because I didn't want to look like a bitch in front of my friend. So I did that first approach. Who lies more, men or women? It went very badly. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know I did not, pull that girl. But I felt ecstatic. I felt amazing. I felt like this huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And over the next month, I kept going out with Matt, and he kept basically being a sort of mentor and teaching me different things. And eventually I was able to actually hook up with a hot girl that I met in a bar. It took about a month. So before, when I was on my own just trying to figure things out, I spent 5 years consuming thousands of hours of content, and I wasn't able to approach a single girl. I got no results. I got no success. If anything, because I was consuming so much without actually grounding that in real life experience, without actually going out and approaching girls and turning that theory into something tangible that I could actually understand on a deep level, because I didn't do that, if anything, I was getting worse. But then all it took was meeting a guy who was willing to show me the ropes and push me to start approaching. And within a month, I was able to start having success. That is how I overcame approach anxiety. Now, if I didn't meet Matt, I still believe I would have eventually overcome my approach anxiety and I would have started to have success because I was very determined to make that happen. But I also know that it would have taken longer. And I don't know whether it would have taken 3 months longer or 2 years longer or what. But having guidance, having accountability, having someone coach me, and this guy was not a professional coach or anything like that, but he helped show me the ropes, he helped show me the basics, and at least he pushed me to take action. Just having that caused me to make more progress in 1 month than I had in the previous 5 years. And that is the fastest way to get out of your rut, to get out of a place where you feel stuck, where you're not getting real tangible results yet, and you feel frustrated and confused because you have all this information, but it isn't translating into the results that you want. That's why I offer in-person coaching, because it allows me to do what Matt did for me for other guys, but to do it better. Because at this point, I've worked with hundreds of clients and I know how to find out exactly what is holding you back from getting the success with women you want and to help you fix those mistakes rapidly. Most people who take boot camps struggle with approach anxiety, but within the first hour, they're able to overcome that and approach girl after girl after girl. And many of my clients had never approached a girl in their life before they met me. But within the course of that weekend, they did over 100 approaches. And by being pushed to take such massive action, it's going to be easy to 10x your results in the weeks and months to follow. Once you've done 100 approaches in a weekend, your mental baseline of what you are capable of will have completely changed. Because for most people, it's maybe 5, maybe 10 approaches over the course of a 4-hour night. And for a lot of guys, it's 0 or they don't even go out. But even the guys who do take action, most of them are barely dipping their feet in the water. But when you take a boot camp, that will no longer be the case because you will quickly overcome approach anxiety and reach a point of momentum where going out and talking to girls and getting numbers and even taking girls home doesn't feel like a big deal. It feels normal. And once you make that mental shift, as long as you don't say take 3 months off, 6 months off immediately after the boot camp and just stop approaching, then you can expect that you will likely make more progress in the next month after the boot camp than you had in the previous several years. That is extremely common. I can't guarantee that you'll get laid during the boot camp, although it does happen very often. And I can't even guarantee that it's going to be easy. Taking a boot camp will challenge you. You will do things that make you uncomfortable in the moment. But by going through that, you will have far more success in the coming weeks and months. It will be a night and day difference. There is a reason that multiple guys have lost their virginity during my boot camps. There's a reason that men have hooked up with fashion models, had threesomes for the first time in their lives, done the first approach of their lives, and then gotten laid within that same weekend. There's a reason that I have testimonials for all of these things. My system for approaching women works. It's extremely effective. It's not about woo-woo bullshit. It's about doing the things that get you tangible results now. It's about fixing the mistakes that are causing women to reject you. Mistakes that you're probably not even aware of. The blind spots that cause girls to immediately say, "Oh, no thanks," and you didn't even know you were doing it. Maybe you're too quiet. Maybe you're too aggressive. Maybe you approach girls from behind, tap them on the shoulder, freak them out, and then they've already rejected you. But when you work with me, I'll show you what you did, and I'll show you how to fix your mistakes, and you'll instantly notice a drastic improvement in your results. So if you want to learn more about my in-person coaching, click the link below to sign up for a free call to find out if you're a good fit for the program.